Hey y'all, welcome to our channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to see more from us. Today I'm using the Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving, and I'm using their Dill Pickles recipe. So I've already got my water bath canner going with water and a splash of vinegar. The vinegar helps it from getting all dirty on the outside of the jar. It's not really dirty, but like foggy, I guess. Then I've got my saucepan or my stock pot, whatever you want to call it, to make the brine with. I've got jars. Hopefully 4 is enough. If not, I can grab some more. And I only have regular mouth jars left right now. All my other wide mouth are being used. I've got some cheesecloth to use for my pickling spices. Got my rings and my lids, cutting board, all that stuff. And then I've got my pickling spice, my salt, my dill. I don't have any fresh dill, so I'm using dry dill. It works just as well. I've got my sugar, and I've got my water and vinegar, and then of course my cucumbers. We get our cucumbers from the Amish. This is the third, I think, round of pickles I've done this summer, so we're getting pretty used to buying a bunch of pickles, or cucumbers I mean, and making them. Then I have my bowl for my cut up cucumbers to go into the jars. And here's where I messed up. I thought I was going to only need like half of a batch of brine for the pickles. No, I was wrong. So y'all just bear with me. It was a long day today and I just needed to get these done, and I made it harder on myself. So here I'm just starting my brine. I put my water, my sugar, my salt, and my vinegar in the pot. And then I made my little cheesecloth bag of my pickling spices, and I'm gonna add that in there. I'll post the link for the recipe I used. I think I can find the link online and post it in the description below. Here I'm just slicing some pickled chips. Terry wanted some spears, so I did some of them in spears and some of them in chips. And y'all ignore my appearance. I look rough. It is a long day, like I said. As I'm slicing my cucumbers, I'm also making sure to stir my brine that I have going on the stove to make sure all the salt and the sugar dissolves in. I'm using some of the bigger cucumbers that I had to make the chips, just because it's easier for the kids to eat the spears when they're smaller cucumbers. Just showing y'all how many of them I used for the chips, and then checking and making sure I'm doing everything right. I'm gonna add about a half a teaspoon of dill to the bottom of each of my jars, and I'm using pints. If I was using quarts, I'd do about a teaspoon. Then I'm going to pack them in there tight, but not like shoving them in there till they break. And then I'm gonna ask Terry to go get me more jars because he's the best and he will help me with all of my canning and stuff. And here I'm gonna cut up the spears. I just quarter them. I cut the ends off and then quarter them to make the spears. And let me tell y'all, it is so much easier to pack pickles into wide mouth jars than it is to pack them into regular mouth jars. It's just, you can't get your hand into the little ones. It doesn't work that well. Did my best. I packed them in there pretty tight, but not so tight that they would just be awful. And here Terry's bringing me more jars. He's the best. I just put the leftover pieces of the cucumbers into a jar and I'm gonna quick pickle them, just put them in the fridge. And I'm gonna run out of brine halfway through putting it into the jars. And it'll leave about a ½ inch of headspace. I think that's right. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to check the book. And like I said, I'll post that recipe down in the description below. And here I'm using a chopstick to get the air bubbles out. I just poke it down each side of the jar to make sure the bubbles are out. And then of course you gotta clean the rims off. And then put new lids on, lids that have never been used. And then finger tighten the jar rings down. And I'm just gonna go ahead and process this first round of cucumbers, or pickles, I mean, because it's gonna take me about 15 minutes more to make another batch of brine, and these process for 15 minutes in the water bath canner. Here I'm letting the canner get up to boiling. The little bubbles that are coming out right now are coming out of the jars. They're releasing the air that's inside there. I'm also making my second batch of brine because, you know, I messed up. But, you know, it was a long day. Couldn't help it. Just slipped my mind. What do y'all prefer? Pickle spears or pickled chips? Let me know down in the comments below. I guess you could also choose pickled chunks. My grandparents make sweet pickles and they're in chunks instead of spears or chips, and they're really good. Y'all, at this point, I was so mad at myself for only making half a batch of brine. I knew I should have done the whole batch, but I don't know. I just didn't do it. and I should have, but it all worked out in the end. My mess up didn't mess up anything serious. It just took me longer to get stuff done. And that's life. It happens. And I'm just going to cover it and let it process for 15 minutes. And then let them sit off of the burner for a little bit before I pull them out. I know some people don't process their pickles in a water bath. They just, something about flipping the jars over and letting them seal that way. I don't know. I haven't tried it that way, but let me know if you do. So after I let them cool for a little bit off the burner, not very long, honestly, I was impatient. I pulled them out with my jar lifter and set them on a towel over to the side. And y'all, I don't even know it was on the back of my pants. I'm telling y'all, it was a rough day. It was something else today. We've been outside and everything else. Now I'm putting my second batch into the canner, turning the stove back on so it can heat the canner back up again. If y'all do pickles, don't be like me and make it harder on yourself. Just do one big batch of brine, even if you have a little bit left over. It's better than having to make it twice. But like I said, it all worked out. I'm not gonna complain. Just let it go and move on. Here I'm having to get more water to top off the canner to make it about an inch over the top of the jars. And here we have 6 pints of pickles to go into our storage. Let me know if y'all try this recipe or what recipe y'all use. Don't forget to subscribe down below. See y'all later.